Welcome back. It's still inside Nigeria. We have been joined by Taiwo Hassan Adebayo, investigative journalist at Premium Times Nigeria, to discuss Pandora Papers implication for anti-corruption war in Nigeria. Good morning, Taiwo.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good morning.
Good morning. Good to have you on our program today.
Yeah, I'm happy to join you.
Thank you very much, Taiwo. Your media organization, Premium Times, is part of the a world consortium of journalists who actually dug up what is called Pandora Papers. We have seen Panama Papers, Paradise Paper, and now it's Pandora's Papers. I don't know whether Pandora Papers actually amount to Pandora's box.
Yeah, from what we have seen, the news across the world, I think it is sort of a Pandora box, revealing previously hidden secrets of the powerful and the rich across the world, and of course, including Nigeria.
Okay.
So, Taiwo, can you take us through what you have? I've seen the reports yesterday detailing offshore investment by a former governor of Anambra State, Peter Obi, and today also I've seen another report involving the Kebbi State Governor, Abubakar Atiku uh, Bagudu. Now, take us through this leaks or report. I was told it's about 11 million documents, which was actually leaked through by journalists for about 2 years before the revelation in the last 2 days. So take us through what we have concerning
Yeah.
Nigeria.
Yeah, thank you. First, from a global context, the Pandora Papers project is 617 journalists and 151 media outlets strong collaborative investigation into a large amount of confidential records, from 14 secrecy sellers across the world. And it's the biggest journalistic collaboration in history. Uh, these records, they are confidential, but the consortium, the journalists that cooperated to work on this project, um, believe that revealing the records will be in the interest of the public because offshore companies they feature prominently in illicit financial flows, in terrorism financing, drugs trade, and all that. So that's the motivation, behind it, and we hope that some reforms would happen across the world so that we will be making a substantial effort against illicit financial flows. Now, coming to Nigeria, um, every media outlet, apart from the global context, they have local issues that affect them. So BBC has been reporting on people affected in the United Kingdom, and that is what we have been doing in Nigeria. So at Premium Times, which is the only Nigerian media outlet involved in this project, we have a number of stories, more than more than a dozen, and we have only published two. One on the former governor of Anambra State, Dr. Peter Obi, and this morning on the governor of Kebbi State, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. So on Peter Obi, summarily, our report says that Nigeria has got clear rules about owning assets as a public servant, about operation of foreign account as a public servant, about declaration of assets as a public servant, assets owned anywhere, whether in Nigeria or offshore. You have a duty, by law, you are obligated to declare these assets, But we found that Dr. Peter Obi breached these terms of the law, and that was our issue with him. That you didn't do this, And we met him. We had in-person interview with him, in fact, in our office, and he didn't deny. He admitted to doing um, all these things in contravention of the law. And in 2017, there was an opportunity, there was a window for many of these public servants to declare the assets they previously did not disclose, and get immunity from prosecution or investigation or something. He shunned that, and he continued, to shroud these activities in secret. That's what we reported. In the case of Governor Bagudu, his link with the Abacha plundering machine, has always been known, but the public knowledge of it is only vague, you know. So what we have done is to empirically put facts out there that this is how the funds were stolen, and this is how Governor Bagudu, before he became a governor, before he became a senator, this is how he structured secrecy to hide this stolen money. And even as we speak now, he's still involved in cases abroad, struggling to keep the remaining parts of the loot. So basically, these are the summaries of the two stories we have done. Let me know if you want me to speak on any other specific issue.
Thank you so much, Taiwo. Now I want to find out what is the implication for the anti-corruption fight in Nigeria, given
Yeah,
this revelation.
yeah. Thank you very much. As a media outlet, that prioritizes investigation, the key thing that we want to do is to dig and give the public, the citizens and the authorities, the kind of information they need to hold people to account, to demand accountability. In other words, why people always suspect that certain people have breached the law, you know, and we don't have any evidence against them, and all that. Now we are telling the public, Nigerians, and the authorities like CCB, EFCC, this anti-graft agency that okay, we have got this evidence and we're putting out there in public interest. So they now have the kind of information they require to ensure that the country's law is protected. So, to create kind of deterrence for others, you know. And another dimension is that the Buhari government, which has touted itself as being very serious about anti-corruption campaign, now has a burden, you know, to use this information. You cannot just ignore them. We have seen responses from countries around the world, and we are being watched. Your officials or former officials, senior politicians, cannot be involved in issues of a clear breach of the law, issues of corruption and all that. And whereas we have anti-graft agencies, and they will continue to look on. So I think it's going to be a basis, to hold the authorities to account, who in turn also have a responsibility to hold those involved to account.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
Taiwo, talking about a government responsibility to hold people to account. If you look at reports this morning, there are already leading civil rights organization, civil society organization blaming the federal government about this scenario, saying corruption is deeply rooted in Nigeria. So will you want to link this to the inability of government, whether successive governments and current government, their inability to effectively fight corruption?
Yes, yes, absolutely. One of the reasons why people um, do the things they do illegally, is that we have very weak structures of accountability. People can literally get away. Our problem is not that we don't have rules. We have rules. Nigeria has clear rules about corruption and all these issues. But We have problem with enforcing these laws because of the individuals involved. So the issue of laxity, not doing enough to ensure the law works, plays a role. But also, this is a kind of a different issue. Now, let me say this. One of the reasons why public officers go to these secrecy heavens, um, this offshore, do all this offshore structuring, is that they know that in Nigeria, the law requires them to declare assets. The law also requires that any asset you are owning as a public officer must be fairly attributable to your legitimate income. Now, if a minister, in matter of 4 or 5 months, takes 6.7 million pounds to buy 4 or 5 London houses, where does he or she want to say he owns that? He got the money to do that. He knows that he has got questions to answer. So to now circumvent this, this issue of law investigation and to stave off investigation, what they do therefore will now be that they now go to British Virgin Islands, to Barbados, Monaco, all these, secrecy heavens. They register offshore company there. They will now take that company anonymously to London to buy property there. And London has some loopholes in their property market. You can buy property in London anonymously without your name appearing if you have a foreign company. And they don't have a kind of law that compels this foreign company to declare the ultimate beneficial owner. So one of the things I must add here that we are trying to push globally is that these Western countries, they reform their own laws too, so that they can, you know, make efforts, against our home leaders in Africa who steal our money and take them abroad through all these offshore holdings. So in London, you cannot be a governor in Nigeria or a minister in Nigeria and say you want to buy UK property. Nobody will sell it to you there because there is enhanced due diligence. There is they will be treated as peps. So they know all these things. So what they do therefore is to go through uh
Offshore firms.
offshore companies, which they will just hide behind anonymously. So it's an organized thing. So my point essentially is that CCB in Nigeria, Code of Conduct Bureau in Nigeria, or EFCC may not know because their names will not appear on those properties. You may just see ABC BVI Limited. You don't know the owner. But what we have done now, and that is all that media houses should join Premium Times in reporting this issue. What we have done now is that we are saying that this property on this street in London is owned by this Nigerian official through this company. Go after him. And we have got the papers to prove that.
Hassan, this is not Premium Times battle alone. The leadership newspaper has this story on its front page yesterday, Monday, and today we are deepening
Yeah, I
conversation
saw
on our
that. Thank you very
digital
much for
platform.
that. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Taiwo. I just want to find out, since the report came out, there has not been any outage by the federal government. So where do we go from here?
Well, that's the kind of thing we are saying. Government generally, governments has little or no incentive, to act responsibly. So it's not for the citizens to pressure them. We should forget all these ethno-religious political issues. We should look at substance, the fact of the case. Forget about the person mentioned is a Muslim, is a Christian, is APC or PDP. The thing is that we've got law that unites all of us. Somebody is breaching the law, somebody is stealing our money, let us pressure the government to take responsibility. But of course, we are aware that discussions are going and we may soon get responses. But until then, we say there's not been any response.
All right, Hassan, I think it is important that we make our viewers understand that owning properties in tax havens may not necessarily mean a crime. And it's also important we actually, separate this from violating a local law, like in Nigeria, the code of conduct
Yeah,
laws. So,
absolutely, absolutely. I was going to mention that
all right.
offshore trusts, offshore companies can be owned for legitimate purposes. It can, but if you are a public officer, if you own one, you have to declare it. But these offshore companies are feature prominently in illicit financial flows. If at all you own one, you have to declare. And you cannot be governor or minister or senator in Nigeria and still be director of any company, whether in Nigeria or abroad. It's illegal. It's crime. The constitution says that clearly.
All right.
Thank you.
Again, the report mentioned regarding Nigeria. The report mentioned a former Chief Justice of Nigeria, prominent pastors, and the rest of them. Now, let's take away the former CJM. Probably he might have violated the code of conduct law while in office. But let's talk about pastors.
And two past Senate presidents too.
Yeah, they are political office holder at the time, so probably
Yes.
they violated laws. So let's talk about pastors or religious leaders who are not public officers. What law will you say they might have violated by owning properties in tax haven?
No. That's the point I made earlier. We didn't say that everyone who owns, like thousands of people, own this offshore trust.
Exactly.
We didn't say they violate any law.
Exactly.
But we also believe that it's in the interest of the public that people who own this offshore company, especially those in the public space, people know them. It is very important that people know them. So we are not saying they have. If you check our Peter Obi
Yeah.
story, we make it very clear. We are not saying that we don't have any evidence that you have stolen any money. No, no, we told him that. But what we are saying is that, yeah, one, you broke law on that you were still managing a foreign company as a governor. You broke law that you were operating a foreign account. You broke law that you did not declare companies you incorporated while serving as a governor. So we are very fair people. So we always make it very clear.
So
But also,
okay.
but also, even as a private citizen, if you make money in Nigeria, you have a duty to pay taxes.
Taiwo,
I
like
have
we
been
have lost
having
him there.
challenges with connection with Taiwo Adebayo Hassan, investigative journalist with the Premium Times newspaper, who has been sharing his thoughts on Pandora papers, and of course its
It has become
implication.
a Pandora boss.
Yeah.
Open
Its
and you see so
implication
many
for anti-corruption
revelations.
fight in Nigeria. Honestly, before that connection was lost, I was about to ask him what was the motivation
Yes.
behind this undertaking by the ICIJ,
Yes, this
International
international
Consortium of Investigative
journalism.
Journalists. Because a few years ago, we saw Panama Papers.
Yes.
Few Nigerians. Oh,
Okay, it's back now.
Hassan is back.
Yeah, I had
All right.
some internet issue. Sorry.
Yes. Now, can you conclude your thoughts?
Yeah, so basically, if you earn money in a country, you cannot now shift your taxes to these tax havens where you pay little or no taxes. If you make money from here in Nigeria, you know, the authorities have to know your true worth so that you can
Exactly.
pay due taxes. Not that you will find a way of shifting these taxes to foreign country. So all these issues are, they are separate issues, and in our stories, will be very clear.
Exactly. And for
Yeah.
those who have questions to answer, are probably political office holders when those things were actually carried out, who did not declare their
Those are the
true
those
worth
are
to
the
authority.
main people that we have issues with, not private guys.
So how will you react to the Peter Obi's reaction to your story when he said, well, he was not aware that he was to declare assets he jointly owned with his family members?
Yeah, I think that was ridiculous because Peter Obi is one of Nigeria's unquote finest guys, and I imagine that for somebody who has been a governor and all that, would know, the law doesn't back what he said, and we pointed that to him when we met him and also in our story, that any asset, any share, anything, in any case, he owns these companies 100%, 100%, not with any family member or any partner, 100%. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Asa.
Well, finally.
Your investigation was thorough and detailed.
All right, finally, Hassan, before we allow you to go, I was trying to say something before the network actually developed hitches. What was the motivation behind this undertaking by ICIJ, considering the fact that just few years ago, we saw the Panama Papers? Few Nigerians were mentioned, but nothing happened. Now again, we are dealing with Pandora Papers.
Yeah,
you don't think
yeah.
anything
I think I mentioned that earlier. One of the biggest problems we face in the world today is illicit financial flows. It's one of Nigeria. It's one of the biggest, and we in this part of the world, the global South, Africa, Latin America, Asia, we are most affected by these issues. So the problem of corruption is not just what happens in Nigeria, but there are also international factors. In illicit financial flows. So what we are doing is to make contribution towards effort against these illicit financial flows, and as corollary, to create the kind of information government needs, to hold these people to account.
So
That's
whether
it.
actions are taken or not, we as journalists, we have a duty to continue
Yeah,
to
we have to do
actually
our own. Yeah.
expose corruption and engender
Yeah.
good governance. Awesome. I hope one day we see Nigerian papers.
Well, let's do some
Let's finish with
work
this.
together. And do Nigeria leaks.
All right,
Oh,
many thanks to
Abuja
you.
leaks.
Nigerian leaks, okay. So when the time comes, we'll be involved too at the leadership
Yeah,
media
yeah,
group.
yeah, no problem.
Many thanks to you, Taiwo Hassan Adebayo,
Yeah, thank you very
investigative
much for
journalist
this
at Premium
opportunity to speak
Times
to you.
Nigeria. And of
Yeah,
course, Premium Times was part of the International
yeah.
Consortium of Journalists
All right,
that
thank you.
unearthed Pandora Papers. Thank you very much, Hassan,
Thank you so
for
much,
joining us.
Hassan.
Well, you have said it all. Well, for you out there, viewers, make a date with us tomorrow for another edition of Inside Nigeria tomorrow, Wednesday. From here, Winifred and we're both saying goodbye.
Bye.
And of course, my name remains Body. Bye for now.